Welcome back to She Rises Daily, Emerging You in 10. I'm your host, Doc Shelley, here to bring you your daily dose of inspiration, empowerment, and growth. I have a question for my fellow helpers today. Have you ever watched someone struggle with something when you knew exactly what they needed to do? It's kind of painful, isn't it? Especially if you are a quick problem solver. You can see the problem. You can see 3 steps down the road. You have already identified 2 possible solutions while they are still explaining what happened. And because you genuinely want to help, your instinct is to jump in. You solve, you remind, you smooth things over, you give them the answer. Sometimes you just take care of it yourself because, let's face it, that would be faster. And because you're trying to be helpful, it feels like the right thing to do. And here's the question I want us to wrestle with today. What if helping isn't always helpful? What if sometimes in our effort to make things easier for someone, we remove the very experience they need in order to grow? Today, we're talking about the difference between supporting and rescuing, and how to help people without accidentally taking away their agency. Helping and rescuing can look remarkably similar. From the outside, helping and rescuing look almost identical. Both may involve offering support, sharing knowledge, providing resources, stepping alongside someone who's struggling. The difference is what happens to ownership. Healthy helping leaves ownership with the other person. Rescuing quietly transfers ownership to you. You start remembering so they don't have to. Following up so they don't have to. Solving so they don't have to. Carrying the emotional weight so they don't have to. Eventually, you're responsible for something that was never actually yours. And here's where it gets interesting. The more capable you are, the easier this is to do, because you probably can fix it. You probably can do it faster. You may even be able to do it better. But your capability isn't always an invitation to take over. Sometimes your greatest contribution is using what you know to help someone else develop what they need. Struggle isn't always evidence that something has gone wrong. This one can be hard for our helpers. We see someone struggling and instinctively think, I need to jump in, I need to do something. Struggle is often where capability develops. Think about learning almost anything. You try, you get it wrong, you adjust, you try again. You experience some frustration, you figure something out. That process isn't an unfortunate detour on the way to learning. That process is learning. If someone continually removes the difficult part for you, you may get the result, but you don't necessarily develop the capability. Sometimes our discomfort watching someone struggle causes us to intervene before they actually need us. And that is worth paying attention to, because sometimes their struggle isn't the problem. Our inability to tolerate their struggle is the problem. Years ago, I was coaching a woman who was the CEO of an architecture firm. We were working through something she was struggling with, and I was doing what coaches do, asking questions, helping her think, creating space for her to work through what she needed to. And suddenly she burst into tears. She looked at me and she said, Shelley, I just need you to tell me what to do. And I replied, I can't tell you what to do. Now here's the interesting part. I probably could have given her an answer. I actually could see several possibilities. But my answer would have been based on my experiences and my perspective, the way I saw the situation. And she was the one who was going to have to live with that decision. So instead of telling her what to do, I shared 3 approaches I'd seen other people in similar situations take. And then I asked her, how do those feel for you? And we started talking through them. And ultimately, none of them were right for her. But one of them sparked something. And she took a piece of that idea, connected it to something else, and then began creating an approach that fit for her and her team. She landed the plane, not me. And I've thought about that conversation many times since. because helping someone doesn't mean withholding everything you know and making them struggle unnecessarily. Sometimes you share what you know. Sometimes you offer possibilities. Sometimes you provide perspective. And you don't have to take ownership of the answer. You can bring your wisdom to the conversation without taking theirs away. Support their thinking without replacing it. Sometimes support sounds like a question. What are you thinking? What have you tried? What options do you see? What do you think your next step might be? And then sometimes someone genuinely needs more than a question. They need information. They need perspective. Possibilities they simply cannot see yet. And that's okay. The goal isn't to refuse to help. The goal is to help without replacing their thinking with your thinking. You might say, here are a few possibilities I've seen. What does that bring up for you? Or here's what I'm noticing. What are you seeing? Or another option might be, let me offer another perspective. See what feels right for you. There's a difference between giving someone an answer and giving them something to think with. One takes over their thinking, the other expands it. And that's what we're trying to do. Contribute to someone's thinking without becoming responsible for it. Sometimes the best help doesn't make someone need you more. It helps them discover they need you less. Ask whose discomfort you're trying to relieve. This may be the hardest part for those of us who are natural helpers and problem solvers. Before you jump in, ask yourself, whose discomfort am I trying to relieve? Theirs? Mine? Because watching someone we care about struggle can be incredibly uncomfortable. Watching an employee make a mistake, watching your child wrestle with a consequence, watching a friend make a decision you would never make, watching someone take 20 minutes to figure out something you could solve in 2 minutes. Sometimes stepping in isn't actually about what they need. It's about relieving your discomfort. Support says, I'm here, I believe you're capable, and I will help if you need me. Rescuing says, I cannot tolerate watching you figure this out. Knowing the difference requires self-awareness because sometimes love, leadership, coaching, friendship looks less like removing the struggle and more like believing someone is capable of navigating it. Here's your reflection question. Where in your life might you be helping so much that you've unintentionally taken ownership away from someone else? And what might change if you gave some of that ownership back? And your power thought. Sometimes the most supportive thing you can do is stop proving how capable you are and create space for someone else to discover how capable they are. Helping is a beautiful thing. We need people who care, leaders who support their teams, friends who show up, parents who guide, mentors who share what they've learned, coaches who offer perspective. The answer isn't to stop helping. It's to become more intentional about how we help. Ask the question, share the perspective, offer the possibility, give someone something to think with, and then leave enough space for them to do the thinking. Because real support doesn't always remove difficulty. Sometimes it simply reminds another person, you are capable of navigating this, and I'm here while you do. This week, notice one moment when your instinct is to jump in and solve something for someone else. Before you do, pause and ask, am I supporting their thinking or am I replacing their thinking? And maybe, instead of immediately giving them the answer, give them something to think with. Then give them enough space to surprise you. Thank you for joining me for another episode of She Rises Daily, Emerging You in 10. If you know a fellow helper, a fixer, a problem solver, or a chronic I'll just do it myself person who could use today's message, please share this episode with them. And until next time, remember, you don't have to have all the answers for the people you care about. Sometimes your greatest contribution isn't showing them how capable you are. It's helping them discover how capable they are.